My name's Chris Spencer. I'm the current CEO of the Coffs Harbour Local Aboriginal Land Council. Been involved in Land Council now for 12 years, but I'm born and raised in Gambanga country, which is where Coffs Harbour is, situated on the eastern seaboard on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. Father of 5, 2 grandchildren. So I'd like to just give you a little bit of history about myself and where I come from. And I'm actually a descendant of stolen generation, but I feel extremely privileged that the family that adopted my father back in the mid-50s gave me, along with him, every opportunity to progress ourselves. One of the big fortunate things was that our Aboriginality was never withheld from us, even though we were raised with a white family. But in saying that, there were a number of different Aboriginal children that were coming through that household as well, up to a dozen at any given time. I've obviously been extremely fortunate that my father, being a dark-skinned Aboriginal man growing up in Coffs Harbour, he was victimised to a degree, but that was in the earlier stages of his life, where the social acceptance around Aboriginal people living with non-Aboriginal families was a little bit of a no-no, but without that commitment from those adoptive parents, we wouldn't be where we are today. Another part of that is, obviously being an Aboriginal man and knowing that my father was Aboriginal from a very young age was very helpful in me actually identifying with other Aboriginal people and striking up conversations and having relationships and friendships and that sort of thing. The other part of that too was that when I started to get involved in Aboriginal affairs, so to speak, there wasn't anything that really attracted me until I started CDP with the Coffs Harbour Land Council back in 2000. At that point of time, I was very fortunate that the elders actually identified me and have entrusted me with some custodianship on some of the storylines and the song lines that relate to the Coffs Harbour and surrounding areas. I'd like to talk a little bit about my leadership experience and my opinion of leadership, and how potentially I've become a leader in our community in Coffs Harbour, particularly around the Aboriginal community, but also at the wider level of community as well. Firstly, we've been discussing about whether or not people are naturally born as leaders, and there was a general opinion that no, we're not. We strive to become leaders in our everyday environment, but particularly when we start our own families in our mobs, that's when we start becoming parents, and in turn we have to become leaders to be able to provide and give our children the best opportunities that are available at any given time. Another part of that leadership is going back to my CDP days, is that I was very fortunate that some of the elders in our community identified me as having particular traits or qualities about my everyday makeup and my ethical beliefs and those sorts of things, that they thought it was a good avenue for me to potentially pursue some custodianship roles around those storylines and songlines and things that are very special to our mob in Coffs Harbour. But apart from that, I've been able to look forward and become a coordinator of a land council before legislation changed. I'm now the CEO of a land council, but there's been a continual building process in the way that I've developed personally, but also professionally, and the way that I approach different types of scenarios in our community. Obviously, I need to have some very firm and staunch beliefs through my ethical standards, but obviously I also need to be speaking with relevant stakeholders within our community and community leaders in particular, like our elders group, who in turn give me guidance and strength to be able to fulfil what's required for our community. Without being involved too much in any formalised, in a sense, opportunities around leadership, I was very dubious and sceptical when the opportunity first arose to be able to take up the FAXIA leadership program. Admittedly, it's only for a 2-day program, and now that I've been exposed to that program, I'm very seriously thinking about the 4-day program. My honest opinion is that it is a very useful and resourceful opportunity to be able to network with others from outside of Coffs Harbour, but with a potential focus, a particular focus on the issues that potentially affect the leadership aspirations of a community. As we know, if there aren't leaders in communities, then very rarely will that community be counted in any way, shape or form in the form of service delivery, major infrastructure and those types of projects. I've really appreciated and was really impressed that the way that I think about things is, and this program has given me the opportunity to realise that the way that I think about things is not always the way that everybody else thinks about things. So getting those different perspectives, particularly the makeup of the group, where we have youth along with our middle-aged people, which I think I fit into the classification of, but also our elders. Our elders, as we know, are our custodians who pass down that custodianship, and without their involvement, we don't really have any hope, because we follow in their footsteps. They give us the tools and the knowledge, more particularly, about how we become a leader in our community and what's best for servicing our mobs. The widespread of the demographic also, we've got people here from obviously Coffs Harbour, but as far south as Karua, so we're covering a very large sort of demographic area, being 300 plus kilometres. It's very interesting from my point of view to see what sort of leadership troubles other communities are having that could be very similar to what we're having in Coffs Harbour, and I can potentially network and create linkages and partnerships with those communities that have been through those sorts of things before, and meaning that our community in Coffs Harbour doesn't need to reinvent the wheel. This opportunity to be involved in the FACSIA leadership course here in Port Macquarie has enabled me to just reiterate to myself and get a little bit of self-reassurance that the way that I value our community, and in particular my family, but obviously when we're an Aboriginal person we think of all of our community as being our family. It's given me that real push and determination that what I'm actually thinking around core values, integrity and all of those sorts of things are where I feel comfortable, and more importantly where I think our community would actually feel comfortable with me being in that particular headspace. And just one final comment that I'd like to make in relation to leadership and in particular this course that I've been involved in is that it's a mechanism that is a necessity in our communities. If we do not have strong leaders to be guiding our people, but more importantly getting their information so that we can advocate and those types of things on their behalf as leaders. That's where I see my role as becoming a leader in our community. I'm not saying that I am the leader, but I'm one of many leaders that are an integral part of a team environment in Coffs Harbour where we're able to build and respect each other's opinions and build real meaningful sort of relationships and partnerships so that it affords our people every opportunity that is possible there for them.